Hello, friends! Today we're going to hear a very clever story about Emperor Akbar and his wise minister Birbal. Akbar loved asking questions, and Birbal always had the smartest and funniest answers. In today's story, Akbar wanted to test Birbal's wisdom with some very important questions about life. Let's see how Birbal answered and what lessons we can learn. Are you ready? Let's begin. Akbar's challenge. One sunny afternoon, the royal court of Emperor Akbar was bustling with ministers, guards, and scholars. The palace walls shone brightly under the sun, and golden chandeliers reflected light all around. Akbar called Birbal to his side with a curious smile. "Birbal," Akbar said, "today I want to test your wisdom. I will ask you 3 very important questions about life. Answer me honestly, and let's see what you know." Birbal bowed respectfully. "Yes, Your Majesty, I will do my best." The first question Akbar asked was, "Birbal, tell me, what is the most important thing in life?" Birbal paused, thinking deeply. He looked around the court, at the ministers and scholars waiting for his answer. Finally, he spoke slowly and wisely. "The most important thing in life is to live in the present. The past is gone, and the future is uncertain. But the present is where we have the power to act and make a difference." Akbar nodded thoughtfully. Very interesting, Birbal," he said. Akbar's eyes sparkled with curiosity. He leaned forward and asked, "Very well, Birbal. Now tell me, what is the most important time?" Birbal smiled gently. "The most important time," he said, "is now. It is the only time we truly control. We cannot change the past, and the future is uncertain. But right now, we can make choices and take actions that matter." Akbar's face lit up with understanding. "You are right, Birbal. Many people worry too much about the past or future, but they forget the power of this moment." Finally, Akbar asked his last question. "Birbal, tell me, who is the most important person in the world?" Birbal looked around the court and then at Akbar himself. He smiled and replied wisely, "The most important person is the person you are with right now, because this is the only moment where you can help someone, show kindness, and make a difference in their life." The court fell silent. Everyone realized how profound Birbal's words were. Akbar nodded slowly, a smile spreading across his face. "You are truly wise, Birbal," he said. "I understand now that focusing on the present moment and the people around me is the key to a happy and meaningful life." Birbal chuckled softly, seeing some ministers whispering among themselves. "Your Majesty," he said, "sometimes people get so busy chasing wealth, power, or fame that they forget the simplest things, being present and caring for others." Akbar laughed, nodding. "Yes, Birbal, from now on I will remember your wisdom." Birbal added humorously, "And remember, Your Majesty, even a king must sometimes take a deep breath and enjoy a cup of tea in the moment." The entire court laughed, and everyone learned a small but important lesson: that life is best lived here and now, not yesterday or tomorrow. Friends, let's remember what we learned today. The present moment is all we can truly control. Focus on the people around you, because that is where your kindness and help are needed. The past is gone and the future is uncertain, so don't waste your energy worrying. Even Emperor Akbar, the great ruler, learned this from his clever minister Birbal. So whenever you feel worried or distracted, take a deep breath and ask yourself, am I living in this moment and caring for the people around me? And that, my friends, is the secret to living a happy, wise, and meaningful life. Thank you for listening, and see you next time for another fun story with Akbar and Birbal. Bye-bye!
The Giving Tree. Hello, friends! Today I have a special story for you called The Giving Tree. It's a fun and thoughtful story that teaches us an important lesson: the power of gratitude. Sit comfortably, relax, and get ready to hear a story that will make you smile. An evening time, on a hot and sunny day, Emperor Akbar was traveling on horseback with his ministers. The sun was blazing, and everyone felt tired and thirsty. Among them was Birbal, the clever and wise minister, who always had a clever solution for every problem. As they rode along the dusty road, Birbal spotted a large old tree with wide green branches. "Your Majesty," he said, "look at that wonderful tree. The shade is cool and inviting. Why don't we rest under it for a while?" Akbar smiled. "What a brilliant idea, Birbal." They all walked towards the tree and sat down. Immediately, a soft, cool breeze rustled the leaves, the birds sang cheerfully, and the shade felt refreshing. Everyone felt relieved and happy to rest under its branches. After a while, Akbar looked at the tree thoughtfully. "This tree has given us such wonderful shade," he said, "but not a single person has thanked it yet." He turned to Birbal and said, "Birbal, go and thank the tree." Everyone laughed at the idea, but Birbal calmly walked to the tree, bowed, and said, "Dear tree, thank you for giving us shade and comfort under the hot sun. Even when you are old and dry, people may burn you for firewood, yet you will continue giving warmth to those in need." Akbar chuckled. "Birbal, even when you say thank you, you teach a lesson." Birbal smiled. "Your Majesty, no matter who helps us, we must always respect them. We should never forget those who give us comfort and care." Just then, a nearby farmer approached Akbar. He bowed to Akbar and said, "Your Majesty, this tree grows on my land, but now people say that because you rested under it, it belongs to the king." Akbar replied kindly, "No, my friend, the tree may grow on your land, but its shade is for everyone. It is not just the king's tree, it belongs to the people. Its shade is meant to be shared by all." The farmer smiled and said, "Thank you, Your Majesty." Birbal whispered to Akbar, "This is true justice. When the benefits of something are shared by all, true fairness exists." The next day, Akbar gave each minister a tiny plant and said, "Whoever takes the best care of their plant will win a special reward." All the ministers watered their plants, but Birbal did something different. He not only watered his plant, but also spoke to it gently, encouraging it to grow and whispering words of care and gratitude. 3 months later, when Akbar inspected the plants, 2 had wilted, but Birbal's plant was vibrant, green, and full of life. Akbar was amazed. "Birbal, how did your plant grow so beautifully?" Birbal smiled. Your Majesty, others only gave water. I gave them care, attention, and gratitude. When we treat something with respect and gratitude, it grows stronger. Everyone clapped in admiration. Akbar said, Today you have taught us a very important lesson. Just like this tree gave us shade, we must thank the people and things that protect and help us every day. Birbal bowed and added, Gratitude is a gift we can give to everyone. Those who know how to say thank you truly grow great in life. From that day onward, Akbar and his ministers remembered to appreciate even the smallest acts of kindness from people, nature, or even trees around them. So friends, the lesson is simple. Always be grateful to those who help you, no matter how small the help may seem. A simple thank you can brighten someone's day, just like the shade of a tree can cool you on a hot, sunny afternoon. Thank you so much for listening to The Giving Tree. Keep smiling, stay kind, and always remember to say thank you. Hello, friends.
Today we are going to listen to a wonderful story, a sweet incident that took place between the great King Akbar and his wise minister Birbal. This story is called The Three Questions. Let's see how clever Birbal surprised everyone with his wisdom. Are you ready? Let's begin. One day, Emperor Akbar was sitting on his royal throne, deep in thought. All the ministers in the palace were silent, waiting for him to speak. Suddenly, Akbar said, "Who knows how much knowledge there is in my kingdom?" He called out, "Birbal, today I'm going to test your knowledge. I'll ask you 3 questions. If you can't answer them, I'll give your place to someone else." Everyone in the court gasped, but Birbal simply smiled and said, "Well, Your Majesty, please ask your questions." First question. Akbar asked, "Tell me, Birbal, how many stars are there in the sky?" Everyone smiled at the impossible question. Birbal calmly replied, "Yes, I can answer that. I have a big bag of sand. There are as many stars in the sky as there are grains of sand in that bag." Akbar laughed and said, "But how can you prove it?" Birbal joked and said, "Count the grains of sand first, Your Majesty. Then you'll know the number of stars, not one less." Everyone burst into laughter, and even the king chuckled with joy. Second question. Akbar continued, "All right, Birbal, tell me, where does the border of my kingdom end?" Birbal thought for a moment and then smiled and said, "O king, your empire ends where your name is no longer known." Akbar was amazed. "Wonderful, Birbal. That's both wise and funny." Third question. Finally, Akbar asked, "Birbal, can you tell me who is the greatest person in the world?" The court grew silent. Everyone waited for Birbal's reply. Birbal smiled and said, "You already know the answer, Your Majesty. A person's own mind is the greatest. If your thoughts are good and your heart is kind, then you are the greatest in the world." Akbar smiled gently and said, "Birbal, you always speak from the heart. That's why your answers always win." Everyone clapped loudly. Birbal's wisdom. Akbar stood up and said, "Birbal, today I've realized something important. True knowledge doesn't just come from books.
It comes from the mind. Birbal bowed and said, "Your Majesty, your questions are lessons for me. When we test our knowledge, we grow wiser." Everyone in the court smiled proudly. Birbal's fame spread throughout the palace once again. Moral of the story. So, friends, what did we learn today? Knowledge is not just about being intelligent. It's about the way we think. Sometimes the right answer isn't found in books. It's found in our minds. Solve problems with laughter and wisdom. That's the magic of Birbal. See you next time with another fun and wise Akbar Birbal story. Until then, think, laugh, and learn.
Hello, friends. Today, we're going to tell you an interesting and clever story. Who is the thief? A strange incident takes place in the palace of Emperor Akbar. Let's see how Birbal solves the mystery. Let's begin. One morning, Emperor Akbar was sitting on his throne when suddenly the guards rushed in alarmed. "Your Majesty, a gold chain has been stolen from the palace treasury." Akbar was shocked. "What? How is that possible? It's inside my palace, guarded day and night." He immediately called for Birbal. "Birbal, find out who the thief is." Birbal smiled calmly and said, "Don't worry, Your Majesty. I will find the thief." Birbal gathered all the palace servants in one place and said, "I am giving each of you a stick. This is a magic stick. If the thief keeps it at home, the stick will grow 1 inch longer by tomorrow." Everyone was frightened. That night, no one could sleep. The real thief thought to himself, "Oh no, if this is truly a magic stick, it will grow longer tomorrow and I'll be caught." Panicking, he quickly cut off 1 inch from his stick. Before morning, all the servants gathered before Birbal. Birbal collected each stick and examined them carefully. All the sticks were of equal length except one. Birbal smiled and pointed at the servant with the shorter stick. "Hey, you're the thief." His face turned pale, and he quickly fell to his knees. "Forgive me, sir, I was scared." Everyone was surprised. Akbar looked at Birbal and said, "Birbal, how did you know?" Birbal laughed and replied, "Your Majesty, the stick I gave them was just an ordinary stick, but I told them it was magical to test their minds." The innocent ones slept peacefully, but the thief, filled with fear, cut his stick short. It was his fear that revealed his guilt. Akbar laughed heartily. "Birbal, your wisdom is the pride of our empire." He rewarded Birbal with a gold chain, the same that had been stolen. Akbar said thoughtfully, "You've taught me a great lesson today. A guilty mind is always fearful." Birbal smiled and said, "The truth can never be hidden. Just like the stick, no matter how much you cut it, the guilt will always show." Everyone in the court laughed. From that day on, Akbar announced a new rule for all palace workers. If your heart is pure, you will never fear temptation. So, friends, what did we learn today? You can't hide a lie. Fear is the sign of guilt, and honesty always brings peace. So, let's be truthful and fair, just like Birbal taught us. See you next time with another delightful Akbar and Birbal story. Until then, think wise, laugh often, and do good.
Hello, friends. Today we're going to tell you a story that's witty, thoughtful, and funny. It's about the great Emperor Akbar and his wise minister, Birbal. Akbar always loved to ask questions, and Birbal always gave clever and interesting answers. This story is called The Missing Ring, The Power of Guilt. Let's begin our story in the grand Mughal court of Emperor Akbar. It was a bright morning in Agra. The royal court sparkled with jewels, golden carpets, and shimmering silk garments. Ministers, soldiers, poets, and artists had all gathered to greet the emperor. Dressed in an emerald robe and a turban studded with pearls, Emperor Akbar smiled warmly at his courtiers. Everything seemed perfect until he noticed something strange. He looked down at his hand. His expression suddenly changed. His precious diamond ring, a gift from his father, was missing. "Where is my ring?" he shouted, his voice echoing through the grand hall. The entire court fell silent. Every eye turned toward the emperor. Akbar's gaze swept across the room, filled with anger and suspicion. "I had it when I entered the court this morning," he said sternly. "Someone in this room must have stolen it." A murmur spread through the court. The courtiers looked at one another in confusion and fear. Akbar struck his hand on the throne. "Guards, lock the doors. No one leaves until I find my ring," he ordered. The guards quickly obeyed. Tension filled the air. Just then, Birbal, the wisest of all ministers, stepped forward and bowed. "Your Majesty, please don't worry. Allow me to find the thief." Akbar narrowed his eyes. "Birbal, if you fail, you too will be punished." Birbal smiled confidently. "As you wish, Your Majesty, but believe me, the culprit will reveal himself." He began walking slowly among the courtiers, observing each face carefully. The court was completely silent, except for the soft sound of his footsteps on the marble floor. Birbal's eyes moved from one minister to another. Some looked nervous, others curious. Finally, he stopped, turned to Akbar, and said, "Your Majesty, I'm about to reveal the thief, but I need your cooperation." Akbar nodded. Birbal raised his voice and said clearly, "The man who stole the emperor's ring has a straw in his beard." The courtiers gasped and looked around. Everyone was startled. And then it happened. A man standing in the corner, startled by Birbal's words, instinctively touched his beard. Birbal's sharp eyes caught the movement instantly. He pointed at the man. "Behold, Your Majesty, there is your thief." The man's face turned pale. He trembled and fell to his knees. Akbar was amazed. "How did you know, Birbal?" he asked. Birbal smiled gently. "It's simple, Your Majesty. When I said that the thief had a straw in his beard, the innocent men did not react. But the guilty man, worried that someone might notice something, touched his beard without realizing it. A guilty conscience always gives itself away." The thief burst into tears. "Forgive me, Your Majesty. I was tempted by greed. Please spare my life." Akbar's expression softened. He gestured to the guards to take back the ring. Then, in a calm but firm voice, he said, "You have betrayed your emperor's trust. But since you confessed, I will forgive you. This time. Let this be a lesson to everyone here. The truth cannot be hidden forever." The man bowed deeply, tears streaming down his face. Birbal stepped back humbly, hands folded. Later that evening, after the court had dispersed, Akbar called Birbal to his chamber. "My friend, your wisdom never ceases to amaze me. You didn't question anyone or search the room, yet you found the thief so easily. How did you do it?" Birbal smiled. "Your Majesty, the human heart cannot lie to itself. When guilt grows inside, it tries to hide, but the body always reveals the truth. Sometimes we don't need evidence, only observation. Akbar nodded thoughtfully. Indeed, Birbal, you've taught me something greater than finding a ring. You've shown me the mirror of human conscience. As the sun set over the red walls of the palace, Akbar stood by the window, turning the ring in his hand. He whispered softly, "A ring can be lost and found, but honesty, once lost, can never be regained." That day, Birbal's wisdom shone brighter than the diamond ring itself. He not only found the missing jewel, but also reminded everyone that truth always finds a way to reveal itself through the voice of conscience. A guilty conscience always gives itself away. No matter how well we hide our mistakes, our actions will eventually reveal the truth. So, dear friends, remember, when your heart is pure, your mind is at peace. But when guilt lives within, it always finds a way to show itself. Thank you for listening to today's story, The Missing Ring, The Power of Guilt. We'll meet again with another clever and inspiring tale from the court of Emperor Akbar and his wise minister Birbal.
The Seed of Justice, Akbar Birbal. A young gardener accidentally drops mud on the emperor's royal robe. The punishment? 6 months in prison. But then, Birbal picks up a tiny seed from the ground, and what he does next changes everything. This isn't just about a seed, friends. This is about the difference between justice and revenge. Stay with me, because by the end of this story, you'll never look at punishment the same way again. This is the story of Akbar, Birbal, and the wisdom of the seed. Hello, my dear friends. Welcome, welcome. Gather round because today I'm taking you on a journey. Hundreds of years back in time to the magnificent Mughal Empire, to the golden courts of Emperor Akbar, and to the brilliant mind of his wisest advisor, Birbal. If you're new to this channel, let me tell you something about Birbal. He wasn't just an advisor. He was a teacher who taught kings, a philosopher who used humor, and a man brave enough to challenge an emperor's anger with nothing but wisdom. And today's story, it's one of the most powerful lessons you'll ever hear about justice, mercy, and the thin line between punishment and wisdom. So settle in, open your heart, and let me take you back to a beautiful morning in the royal gardens of Agra. One fine morning in the royal gardens of Agra, dawn is just breaking. The dew still clings to the rose petals. The peacocks call their morning songs. The marble fountains sparkle in the early light. And walking through this paradise is Emperor Akbar himself. He is wearing his finest silk robe, royal red with golden embroidery. His morning walk, his moment of peace before the demands of the empire begin. The sky is clear, the wind blows gently. Everything is perfect. But as we all know, friends, perfection is fragile. It can shatter in an instant. Not far from where the emperor walks, a young gardener tends to the hedges. Let's call him Ramu. He's maybe 17, 18 years old. His hands are rough from work. His clothes are simple. And right now, he's trembling. You see, it's not every day that the emperor of Hindustan walks through your section of the garden. Can you imagine? The most powerful man in the empire just a few feet away, and you're trying to trim hedges with shaking hands? Ramu glances sideways at the emperor, trying not to stare, trying to focus on his task. His spade moves through the soil, cutting, digging, trimming. And then, in one careless moment, his spade slips, and a clump of wet, dark soil flies through the air and lands directly on Akbar's pristine silk robe. The garden falls silent. The birds stop singing. The fountains seem to stop flowing. Even the wind holds its breath. Akbar's face changes. The peace vanishes. His eyes flash with fury. His jaw clenches. When he speaks, his voice isn't just loud. It's thunder rolling across the mountains. "How dare you soil the emperor's garments? Guards!" The guards come running, their armor clanking. "Seize this gardener. He shall spend 6 months in the dungeon." Friends, can you imagine? The poor gardener, this boy, Ramu, falls to his knees. His face goes pale as milk. His entire body is shaking. 6 months in the dungeon for an accident, for a moment of clumsiness. Think about what's going through his mind right now. His mother who's sick at home, depending on his wages. His younger sisters who need him to bring food every evening. His old father who can barely walk anymore. 6 months, that's not just punishment for him. That's a death sentence for his family. The guards step forward. Their hands reach for the boy's shoulders. And at that exact moment, a calm voice cuts through the tension like a knife through silk. "Forgive me, Jahapana." And everyone turns. It's Birbal. Now friends, Birbal is no ordinary advisor. He doesn't rush in shouting, he doesn't panic, he doesn't try to physically stop the guards. He simply walks forward, calm, composed, respectful, bows deeply to the emperor and says, "Jahapana, may I ask you something before the sentence is carried out?" Akbar is still fuming. You can see the anger in every line of his face. His jaw is clenched so tight it must hurt. But he knows Birbal. He trusts Birbal. He gives a curt nod. "Speak." And this is, my friends, where Birbal does what Birbal does best. He doesn't argue. He doesn't lecture. He doesn't say, "You're wrong, Your Majesty." No, he teaches without preaching. Watch this. Watch how a master works. Birbal kneels down right there in the garden, on the very soil that caused all this trouble, and picks up something from the ground. Something tiny, something so small you might not even notice it. He holds it up between his fingers where everyone can see. "Your Majesty," he asks quietly, "what do you see in my hand?" The entire garden is watching now. The guards have paused. Even the gardener has stopped trembling for a moment, confused about what's happening. Akbar's eyes narrow. He's impatient, still angry. "A seed, obviously. What of it?" "Just a small seed," Birbal agrees, turning it slowly in the morning light. "Something so small you could lose it in your palm. Smaller than your nail. Lighter than a feather. Insignificant, wouldn't you say?" Everyone nods slightly. "Yes, it's just a seed. What's the point?" But then, friends, Birbal does something beautiful. He presses that tiny seed, gently, carefully, into the soil at his feet. The same soil that caused all this crisis. He looks up at the emperor and says, "Your Majesty, if I plant this seed today, if I give it water, sunlight, and time, in a few years, do you know what will happen?" He pauses. Everyone leans in slightly. This tiny, insignificant seed will become a mighty banyan tree. Its branches will stretch wider than this entire garden, sheltering hundreds from the scorching summer sun. Its roots will go deep into the earth, preventing the soil from washing away in the monsoons, protecting the land. Birds will build their nests in its leaves, raising generation after generation. Travelers will rest in its shade, finding relief from their journeys. Children will play beneath its canopy, making memories that last a lifetime. Farmers will sit under it during harvest time, sharing their meals and their stories. Old people will come here to spend their final years in peace. One small seed, countless blessings, hundreds of lives touched, thousands of moments of joy, all from something you could barely see. The garden is still silent. But now it's a different kind of silence. Not the silence of fear, not the silence of shock. This is the silence of contemplation, of minds opening, of hearts softening. Birbal's voice drops lower, becomes more serious. But consider this, Jahapana. Everyone holds their breath. What if instead of planting the seed, I crushed it under my heel out of anger? He lifts his foot, hovering it over the tiny seed. What if I said, this seed annoyed me, so it must be destroyed? That single angry moment, 1 second of rage, would destroy not just this seed, but everything I just described. All the shade it would have given, gone. All the fruit it would have borne, gone. All the birds that would have nested there, never born. All the children who would have played there, no memories. All the travelers who would have rested there, no relief. All the lives it would have touched, forever changed. All of it destroyed because I was angry at something small. You can see Akbar's anger beginning to waver now. It's in his eyes. The fury is still there, but something else is entering. Doubt, thought, contemplation. He looks at the trembling gardener, then back at the seed in the ground, then at Birbal. And Birbal continues, his voice gentle now, filled with compassion. Jahapana, this young man made a careless mistake, just like the seed, small, fleeting, unintentional. A moment of nervousness, a slip of the hand, an accident. But if we crush him with 6 months of imprisonment, if we let anger be our guide, we destroy not just him, but everything connected to him. His mother, who depends on his wages, will go hungry. How will she eat? How will she survive? His younger sisters, who need him to bring food every evening. His old father, who can barely walk anymore, who needs someone to bring him water, to help him to the temple, to hold his hand. Who will care for him in his final years? This isn't just one punishment for one person, Jahapana. This is one seed of anger that destroys an entire tree of lives.
He looks directly at the emperor. There's no judgment in his eyes, just earnest truth. And what lesson do we teach the kingdom? That power means the absence of mercy? That a stain on cloth, cloth that can be washed, cloth that can be replaced, is worth more than a human life? That justice is merely anger wearing a crown? Is that the legacy we want to leave? Silence. The garden remains silent, but now, friends, it's a completely different kind of silence. Not the silence of fear, not the silence of shock. This is the silence of contemplation, of minds opening, of hearts softening. Akbar looks down at his robe. The mud is already drying, already cracking, already becoming dust that could be brushed away. Insignificant. He looks at the young gardener, his whole life ahead of him, his whole future hanging by a thread, one decision away from destruction or redemption. And then, friends, watch this transformation. Something changes in the emperor's face. The anger melts away like ice under the sun. In its place, understanding, wisdom, and perhaps even shame. When he speaks, his voice is quiet, heavy with realization. You're right, Birbal. Just 3 words, but they carry the weight of the world. I was about to make a mountain out of a grain of sand. He turns to the gardener, and his voice becomes firm but kind. Stand up, young man. The gardener rises on shaking legs. Tears are streaming down his face, not tears of fear anymore, but tears of unbelief, of hope. You are pardoned, Akbar says firmly. Be more careful in the future, but know this: everyone makes mistakes. Everyone, even emperors. He glances at Birbal with a slight smile. What matters is not the mistake itself, but what we learn from it. Go now. Return to your work. Return to your family. Tell your mother that the Emperor of Hindustan says she raised a son worth forgiving. The gardener can barely speak through his tears. Thank you, John Penna. I will never forget your mercy. Never. I will tell this story to my grandchildren. I will... Go, Akbar says gently, before I change my mind. But everyone knows he's joking now. The tension has completely dissolved. As the gardener hurries away, probably still in shock, probably not believing this is real, Birbal stands and dusts off his hands. He smiles that knowing smile of his and says, "Justice without wisdom, John Penna, is merely revenge in disguise. True justice weighs the crime against the consequence. True justice remembers that we are all human, all fallible, all deserving of compassion. And true justice always leaves room for redemption." Pause. Akbar puts his hand on Birbal's shoulder. "You've taught me something today, my friend. Something worth far more than this robe." From that day forward, so the story goes, Emperor Akbar changed. He was still a powerful ruler, still a mighty warrior, still a just king. But now, before pronouncing any punishment, whether for a criminal, a servant, or even an enemy, he would pause, take a breath, and ask himself one simple question. Is this justice speaking, or is this just my anger? That one question, friends, that single moment of reflection, it changed how he ruled, it changed how he lived. And the seed, the actual seed that Birbal planted that day, legend says it grew into a magnificent banyan tree. And for generations, people would sit under its shade and tell this story. The story of how a seed saved a life. The story of how wisdom defeated anger. They called it the Tree of Mercy.
My dear friends, let me ask you something. How many times in our lives do we face this exact situation? Not with emperors and gardeners maybe, but with the same choice. When someone cuts us off in traffic and rage floods our chest, do we lean on the horn, chase them down, let anger control us? When a colleague misses a deadline and our project suffers, do we yell, humiliate them, make an example of them? When our child breaks something valuable, maybe by accident, maybe through carelessness, do we explode, punish harshly, make them fear us? When a friend betrays our trust in a small way, do we end the friendship, cut them off completely, seek revenge? Do we let rage be our judge, or do we pause, breathe, and ask, what am I really destroying here? Because here's what this story teaches us, friends. Here's the wisdom hidden in that tiny seed. First, every action has consequences that ripple far beyond what we can see. When we punish, we don't just affect one person. We affect everyone connected to them, their families, their futures, their potential. Second, anger makes us blind. In that moment of fury, Akbar could only see his stained robe. He couldn't see the gardener's family. He couldn't see the injustice. He couldn't see the bigger picture. Anger is like wearing blinders. It narrows our vision to only our pain, our offense, our ego. Third, true power isn't the ability to punish harshly. True power is the ability to show mercy wisely. Anyone can destroy. It takes no skill to crush someone beneath your authority, but to lift them up, to see their humanity even when they've wronged you, that takes real strength. Fourth, justice must always be proportionate. The punishment must fit the crime. A stain on cloth does not equal 6 months of someone's life. A moment of carelessness does not equal the destruction of a family. And here's the most important lesson. We all make mistakes. All of us.
Every single person watching this video right now has done something careless, something thoughtless, something that hurt someone else. And in those moments, what did we want? Did we want crushing punishment? Or did we want understanding, compassion, a second chance? The mercy we wish to receive is the mercy we must be willing to give. So, here's my challenge to you, friends. The next time anger rises in your chest, and it will, because you're human, remember the seed. Before you speak harsh words, remember the seed. Before you impose punishment, remember the seed. Before you let rage guide your hands, remember the seed. Ask yourself, am I planting something that will grow into blessing? Or am I crushing something that could have been beautiful? Ask yourself, is this justice? Or is this just my anger? That one question, friends, that one moment of pause, it can change everything. And that, my dear friends, is the story of Akbar, Birbal, and the Seed of Justice. A tale about the difference between punishment and wisdom, between anger and understanding. If this story touched your heart, if it made you think, if it reminded you of something important, do me a favor. Hit that like button. Let's spread this wisdom to more people. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Maybe someone who's angry right now. Someone who's about to make a decision they might regret. Someone who needs to remember the power of mercy. And subscribe if you want more stories like this. Ancient wisdom from modern problems. Life lessons wrapped in beautiful narratives. And please, comment below. Tell me, have you ever been in a situation where you chose mercy over anger? How did it turn out? Or have you experienced the opposite? When someone showed you mercy when you didn't deserve it? Share your story. Let's learn from each other. Let's build a garden of wisdom together. Remember, friends, before you crush the seed, imagine the tree. Before you punish in anger, breathe and ask, is this justice or is this just me? Until next time, dear friends, may your anger be slow to rise and quick to fade. May your justice be tempered with wisdom, and may you always remember the power of the seed. This is your storyteller signing off. Think deeply, act wisely, choose mercy. See you in the next tale.
How do you answer a question that has no answer? Imagine being asked, how many drops are there in the ocean? How many stars in the night sky? Most of us would shrug, admit defeat, or laugh it off. But centuries ago, one man gave such a brilliant reply to such a question that his wit is still remembered today. That man was Birbal. And the one who tested him was none other than Emperor Akbar the Great.
The Mughal court of Agra was not just a throne room. It was a theater of wisdom, poetry, politics, and laughter. Generals spoke of wars, poets recited verses, scholars debated philosophy. But at the center of it all sat Akbar, one of the greatest emperors in history, sharp, curious, and playful. And beside him, often with a smile and a sparkle in his eyes, stood his trusted minister, Birbal.
Birbal is no ordinary man. He answers questions even scholars stumble over.
One fine morning, Akbar strolled in the royal gardens. The air was filled with the cawing of crows. Thousands of them perched on trees, fountains, even palace walls. Akbar paused watching them, and then, with a mischievous smile, he turned to Birbal.
Birbal, you are said to be the wisest man in my court. Then answer me this. How many crows are there in my capital city of Agra?
The court fell silent. The question struck like lightning. How could anyone possibly know such a thing?
This is impossible. Even counting the stars would be easier.
Finally, Birbal will be embarrassed.
Some courtiers smirked. Some held their breath. All eyes turned to Birbal. Would he stumble? Would he dodge? Or could he once again turn the impossible into something extraordinary?
Birbal did not rush. He folded his hands, bowed slightly, and with his usual calm voice said,
Your Majesty, there are exactly 10,000 crows in Agra.
10,000? Are you certain, Birbal? What if there are more than 10,000?
Then, sire, it means crows from neighboring towns have flown in to visit their relatives in Agra.
And what if there are fewer than 10,000?
Then, Your Majesty, some of Agra's crows have gone out to visit their relatives elsewhere.
The court exploded in laughter. Ministers who had been certain of Birbal's failure now clapped in admiration. Akbar himself laughed so hard that his crown nearly slipped from his head.
But beneath the laughter was a lesson. Birbal's answer was not about numbers. It was about presence of mind, about confidence, about never letting a tricky question corner you. Akbar leaned back on his throne, still smiling.
Birbal, once again, you remind me that wisdom is not about memorizing facts. It is about knowing what to say at the right time in the right way.
The courtiers nodded. Even those who had doubted Birbal bowed their heads in respect. For in that moment, everyone understood the power of wit over raw knowledge.
This tale of Birbal and the crows may sound like a joke, but it carries a timeless truth. In life, we are often faced with questions that have no clear answers. What matters is not always the facts, but the way we respond. Presence of mind, confidence, and wit can turn even an impossible situation into a triumph. And that is why Birbal's name still shines through the pages of history.
If you enjoyed this story, do share it. And remember, sometimes the smartest answers are not about what you know, but about how you think.
Akbar and Birbal, the trip to heaven. Many years ago, in the grand Mughal court of Emperor Akbar, lived a wise and witty minister named Birbal. He was not just Akbar's favorite courtier, but also his most trusted friend. Birbal was famous throughout the kingdom for his intelligence, honesty, and sense of humor. But not everyone in the court liked him. Some courtiers were jealous of Birbal's position. They couldn't stand the way the emperor always listened to Birbal's advice. One day, a plan began to form in the mind of one such jealous courtier. Birbal always acts so smart. The emperor praises him for every little thing. We must do something to show the emperor that Birbal is not as clever as he seems. Another courtier replied, "But how? Every time we try, Birbal turns the tables on us." The first courtier thought for a moment and said, "I have a plan. We'll tell the emperor that Birbal has been boasting, saying that he can go to heaven and meet the gods. Then we'll ask Akbar to order him to prove it." They both laughed wickedly. This time Birbal won't escape. That very evening, in the royal court, the jealous courtier stood up and said loudly, "Your Majesty, I have something important to tell you." Akbar looked curious. "Speak." The courtier bowed and said, "Birbal has been saying he can travel to heaven and meet the gods themselves." The court murmured in surprise. Akbar turned to Birbal. "Birbal, is this true? Can you really go to heaven?" Birbal smiled calmly and bowed. "Jahanpana, if you order me to go, I surely will." Akbar chuckled. "Are you serious?" Birbal replied,
Yes, Majesty, but I'll need some time to prepare for the journey. Akbar, amused, agreed. Very well, Birbal. Prepare for your journey to heaven. The court will await your return. Birbal went home and built a small hut outside the city, near the river bank. He told everyone, I'll meditate here to purify my soul. When the time is right, my spirit will rise to heaven. The news spread everywhere. Birbal is going to heaven. People came from nearby villages to see the wise minister's last moments before his heavenly journey. Inside the hut, he whispered to his trusted friend, when smoke starts coming out of the chimney, tell everyone that I have gone to heaven. Don't worry, I'll be fine. He lit a small fire inside the hut. After a while, smoke started rising. The friend ran to the palace, shouting, Your Majesty, Your Majesty, Birbal's soul has gone to heaven. He's gone. The jealous courtiers grinned from ear to ear. Akbar, though sad, believed it was true. We have lost a great man, he sighed. Days turned into weeks. The court no longer echoed with laughter. Whenever Akbar faced a problem, he would sigh, if only Birbal were here. The courtiers tried to give advice, but none of them could match Birbal's wisdom. Even the people in the city missed him. They would say, the king looks worried these days. If Birbal were alive, he would surely have found a way to make him smile. One fine morning, as Akbar sat in court, a familiar voice called out, Long live Emperor Akbar! Akbar turned, and there stood Birbal, smiling. Birbal, you're back! You really went to heaven and returned? Akbar exclaimed in joy. Birbal bowed. Yes, Your Majesty. Heaven is a wonderful place. The air is pure, and everyone there works hard. Akbar, curious, leaned forward. Tell us, Birbal, what did you see there? Birbal replied, Your Majesty, I met many people from your royal family, your ancestors. They live happily and send you their blessings. But they also told me something serious. Akbar's eyes widened. Serious? What is it, Birbal? Birbal sighed dramatically. They said heaven is running out of space. So many people from earth are coming every day. The houses are full and the angels are very busy. The courtiers looked at one another in confusion. Birbal continued. They requested you to send all your tailors, goldsmiths and carpenters because they need more clothes, jewelry and houses to fit everyone. Akbar frowned for a moment, then smiled. Birbal, do people in heaven really need clothes and houses? Birbal smiled mischievously. Of course, Your Majesty. Don't people on earth always say, he is gone to heaven whenever someone dies? If everyone goes there, it must be full by now. The entire court burst into laughter. Akbar laughed so hard that tears filled his eyes. Birbal, even after a trip to heaven, your sense of humor remains unmatched. The jealous